Jared Polin, FroKnowsPhoto.com. Some people are getting tired of that. I don't know who they are. I like saying it. Do you guys still like it? Because I still like it. We got Daniel over here laughing. Anyway, I'm on the line here with Daniel Krieger. He is a wedding... Can I call you a wedding photographer?
Yeah, I mean, I'm a wedding and editorial...
Wedding/editorial photographer out of Brooklyn, New York. And I ran into Daniel at the photo show, and he ended up spending about... Yeah, whatever. He ended up buying a nice camera to play with for his weddings. But he put this photo in the Flickr Photo Group, and it's called Boardwalk Wedding. And I just think it's pretty cool, except for the fact that it's cropped. You know me and cropping. But Daniel, tell me why you like the square crop.
Well, I like to shoot with a Hasselblad 500 CM. So, you know, when I'm not getting to shoot with that once in a while, I like kind of mimicking that square crop. I think it looks cool. You just, you know, I like
personal preference.
Personal preference. I'm a fan of symmetry. So I think with the square crop, you can play around. You know, well, it's just symmetrical, just as it is. But you know, you can play around with the composition a little more. Really center things nicely, as opposed to, you know, a typical like 4x6
sure,
you know, photo. But I just wanted to say I personally have not gotten tired of the Fro knows photo yet. So
not yet. Good.
I'm not tired of it yet.
It's here to stay. Anyway, why don't you run down how you shot this? Lens, camera, settings, if you know the settings off the top of your head.
I am not really a technical person, so I don't know them off the top of my head. But I mean, I was shooting it with the Nikon D3s, and I was using which, you know, you helped me find because I couldn't find a copy here in New York City, so I had to go to Pennsylvania to find one. And it was shot with the 70 to 200 millimeter Nikkor, the VRII, also a new weapon in my arsenal that I got. I like putting the camera down on the ground.
So this was on the ground.
Yeah, it was on the ground. So that's why the bottom, it's about the bottom third is pretty much totally out of focus. And then sometimes what I do if I don't, if I don't want to actually get right on the ground and lay on the ground, because I was going to shoot a wedding and this was kind of a dirty boardwalk, so I didn't really want to lay my, you know, flat on the ground. So I will get I'll get my subject in focus, and then I just kind of, you know, I lock the focus, and then I'll put the camera right on the ground and kind of play around with it and do a few shots and, you know, try to estimate exactly where I want it to be. And this one came out pretty nice. I just shot this last weekend and threw it up on my Flickr stream yesterday, actually. It was actually, I put it in a contest. It's called Flickr 64, F64. It's like a bracket contest.
Uh-huh.
It's actually was my first round, and it won. I'm through to the second round with this, which is kind of funny. I mean, people, you know, generally are not wanting to vote on wedding photos, but I thought this one would at least get me through the first round. But as the rounds go up, if I progress, I'm going to have to probably start putting a little more artistic stuff and not wedding photos into the challenges.
Sure, and you never know what people are going to like anyway.
That's true, yeah. So, well, I almost put a photo of my cat for the first round, but I decided to go with the wedding instead.
I think that's a better choice, because you don't have Mr. Meowgie and, you know,
yeah,
my kitty. Anyway, you put the camera down. Do you know where you were focused? Or not focused, but do you know, were you at 70? Were you at 200?
I think this was probably around the, I don't have the exact settings on it. It was probably, I can look up while we're talking. I'm going to guess that it was maybe like 120, 135 millimeters, somewhere around there.
Okay.
And probably at like f, 3.2 if I had to guess. But so those are my guesses, but I'll be able to tell you in a second exactly.
Were you in manual or aperture priority?
I mostly shoot manual. I don't usually shoot aperture priority unless I'm like inside or
sure
really have like a lot of change settings. All right, here we go. So, all right, so don't listen to anything I ever say because I'm wrong. It was at 75 millimeters, f2.8, 1/320th of a second, and I was at ISO 500.
500? Come on, you should have been at least 4,000. You have a D3s. Shoot it whatever you want.
Well,
I'm just kidding.
I actually just did a shoot for the last week for the New York Times inside a restaurant, and I was pretty much at like ISO 5000 pretty much the entire time.
And it looks beautiful. But
yeah,
we all know that.
Yeah, it's a beautiful camera, man.
So, did you do any straightening to this image, or it was just flush? The lines were straight when you shot it?
Yeah, the lines were straight when I shot it. The only thing I did was really drop that square crop on the middle. One of the reasons why I did the square crop on that one is in the original size, there's a little bit of the benches from either side of them in the photo.
Sure.
So I feel like that's kind of drawing away from the I felt that was kind of drawing away from the subject, so I just wanted that subject just perfectly centered right in there.
No, so it works very well. I mean, it's sharp as can be. They're so separated because of the boardwalk being out of focus in the bottom, and the fact that they're not right in the middle of the image is even cooler in terms of verticalness, top to bottom. They're exactly in the middle, left to right, but top to bottom, it's better that they're off center. Right. Off the main, we'll call it the equator, whatever. Yes, equator sounds good. They're off the equator. But no, it's natural light. It's nice. I mean, it's just the straight lines of it are what's really cool, and the fact that you see the ocean, and the fact that you see some of the sun going down. I know, the whole boardwalk being out of focus draws you in, and that's the importance of the 2.8 lenses that we always talk about. Just draws you into the main subject of the image.
Right. Thanks. I'm glad you like it. And I do have, I'm actually staring at, I do have a pretty nice one just to give a different perspective. Maybe I'll upload it and throw it into your Flickr group. I stood up from and shot kind of down at the more, so I actually got the ocean and kind of like some of the waves crashing. So it's a totally different perspective on another photo. So I'll throw that in your pool so people can check that one out as well.
Good. Yeah, I'm personally a fan of low angles. I'm short, so I'm closer to the ground anyway.
Right.
Greg's 6'4", he likes shooting at high angles because he's all the way up there in the clouds. But I like lower angles personally. I just think it makes the subjects seem more important. Except one thing, when you're doing group shots, low angles on group shots tend to look terrible.
Yes, I do agree with that. Yeah, I mean, definitely for shooting weddings, I like if you can put like the couple maybe on top of a stairs and shoot up at them. It kind of it's more dramatic than Well, that's one thing I tell.
It's a good word.
When people ask me about like how to shoot like interesting looking wedding shots, or we're having that discussion. Or sometimes you see in like the wedding groups, people say, how do these photos look from my first wedding? And a lot of times what I notice is that they're shooting everything basically just from the standing position with the camera right in front of their face.
Which is the worst position to shoot mostly anything in.
Yeah, so and that's what I say, like one of my first suggestions is move the camera around, put it on the floor, go up really high, just like change your the perspective of the photo. People are used to seeing just straight on photos, and that's what like a normal photo looks like. So
yeah.
Change where you are,
and don't be afraid to move in. Don't be afraid to go vertical.
Yes.
Don't be afraid to just the low angles. I love low angles. That's just me. When you're shooting sports, I'll say this: if you're standing up and shooting 8-year-olds playing soccer, those are going to be terrible looking pictures because you're looking down on them. But if you're shooting from a low angle and you're looking up pretty much because you're shooting from the grass, it just draws you in. It just makes them look larger. The perspective it's just good.
Right.
So that's all I have to say about that.
I completely agree.
And when you shoot the brides, I like low angles too. Usually when Greg and I are shooting weddings, Greg's shooting the high angle and I'm shooting the low angle. Plus he's taller, so I just get in front of him because he's taller than the fro, so the fro doesn't get in the way.
Right. So. Yeah, I mean variety. That's variety in wedding photos is a great thing, especially when you have two photographers. You have that. That's one way I try to sell, a second photographer. As I say, you have someone else's perspective, their creative eye, so they're gonna their photos will be different, you know, than mine.
Yeah, they're going to capture something totally different, and I won't shoot a wedding by myself.
Really? Never?
No, I will not. Because I cannot deliver what I want to truly deliver that two photographers can deliver.
I hear you.
I just feel that when I'm shooting something myself, in terms of a wedding, that I'm not able to give the two angles I want. For example, the first time the bride walks in to the ceremony, she's going to walk down the aisle. I'd like to have photos of her walking down the aisle and the groom the first time he sees her.
Yeah.
If they're not seeing each other beforehand. It just seems, you know, you get those two things. Or if during the first dance, one of us, Greg, we'll say Greg is shooting the dance, and then I'm focused on shooting the parents crying. You know? You're just capturing extra stuff. And I'm not saying overshoot. I'm just saying two angles, two people give you a better perspective on a day, in my opinion.
No, I totally agree. I mean,
you better totally agree. This is my website, damn it.
Hey, just so you know, I did just upload that other photo. I don't know if you want to look at it while we're still talking here.
I'll take a look.
You can make a comment on it. Yeah, I mean, you know, sometimes I do like working with other photographers, but sometimes I don't mind working on my own, and I just have complete and total control over everything that I'm doing, and I'm just relying on myself to produce all the images. And I guess I kind of like that in a way. It's like the independence, even though the people working for me I'm hiring them, but I still feel a different type of independence maybe when I'm by myself.
When I'm shooting everything else, I'll shoot. I don't want to be bothered when I'm shooting a concert.
Right.
I don't want anybody else in the pit when I'm shooting. I mean, it is what it is most of the time, but I want to, there I'm in my own world. But at a wedding, to me it's a little different for me. But no, that's cool that we all get into our own shooting modes and like to capture things differently. And I'm definitely going to link up to your webpage here so everybody can see your wedding photos and see the type of work that you're doing up there in the New York.
You were saying, thank you very much. I appreciate that, and it's been great being on. I think you were saying earlier that you were going to tell me what this photo would have looked like had I shot it with the 24-70.
No, that was the other photo we didn't choose.
Oh, the other one we didn't choose. All right.
There was this other photo. I just think it would have been better, but we're not even going to talk about it because we're not looking at it.
We don't need to talk about it.
No, throw it up in the group. It's a cool photo in the in like a cafe.
Yeah, it's like a wine bar type restaurant in New York City called Ardisha. But I'll throw that in the group as well. People,
it's a cool black and white photo. But I would have loved to have just seen a little bit of floor. You know how I don't like cutting things off. Mm-hmm. I would have loved to have seen a little bit of the floor in there, and then the bottom of the stools. It just feels awkward. It's like the stools are cut off. It's like when you cut off somebody's foot right at the toe. It's like you might as well have left it in. But that's not this photo. But we should probably wrap this one up. You have any final words?
No, that's it. I appreciate being on, and keep shooting, guys.
Yeah, shoot raw. This is raw, correct?
I shoot raw all the time.
You do, and he's got a shirt coming soon, too. Anyway, Jared Polin. Oh, wait, before I get into that, remember to get these Flickr photos into the Flickr Photo Group. I do get in there to critique from time to time. You can always shoot me an email asking questions, and I do answer a bunch of them. And, maybe next week I will be calling you for the Flickr Photo of the Week. Jared Polin, Fro Knows Photo.com. See ya.